to singing, my next guest says most of us think either we can or we can't. It's a common belief that he says keeps too many people from singing out loud or singing along in public. Dr. Manternach says anyone can become a better singer with the right techniques and the right practice. Anyone?
Mostly anyone.
Mostly anyone. What would be the exception then, the caveat there?
Well, about 4% of the population has what we call amusia, where they do have, that's what most of us would call being tone deaf. But for 96% of the population, that isn't the story. And so all of us can learn to at least improve our singing.
How much of it, though, is natural ability, would you say?
There is a significant amount, the same way that natural ability could extend to athletics, right? If I'm 7 feet tall, I'm likely going to be better at basketball. I'm not 7 feet tall. But the similar things about the size of your vocal folds, the shape of your neck, the shape of your head and your mouth, those can all make you more likely to have a certain kind of voice, a certain quality of voice. But again, the vast majority of us can learn to improve our singing voices.
And you've seen this belief put into practice. You're an instructor at the University of Utah's Theater Department, a singer yourself. How much, what's reasonable? How much progress is reasonable, would you say?
A lot of it honestly depends on how much you're willing to put into it. What kind of practice, what kind of time. Like anything, whether it's a golf swing or just improving at yoga, the more time you put in, the more consistent practice you get, the better results you're going to see.
You say people are now more than ever afraid to open their mouths and sing at church, in the shower, in the car.
Right.
Why is that?
I think our society is one that doesn't encourage mistakes. I think we have seen in our airbrushed magazines and our studio recorded sounds, there's an expectation of perfection, and that has naturally spilled over into music and into singing. So I think that is one of the big things that holds us back, is just not wanting to look foolish.
What has reality TV done for the art of singing and performing?
Well, I think one of the fallacies that it has promoted is that good singing is discovered rather than developed. I think, again, if we're willing to put the time in, then generally most of us can improve our skills.
You say there are so many misconceptions out there, so let's bust through a few myths if you can. Myth number one, bad singers are tone deaf. You say not true.
Right. Well, again, that might be part of the issue. As I say, in about 4% of the population, that's a diagnosable condition. But for most of us, it isn't. And so I find with most singers, if they start to realize where they are feeling their sound and sensing their sound, that gives them a pretty good reference point to go from, so that they can start placing those sounds in different areas of the head, the body, whatever, so that their pitch pretty drastically can increase.
So pitch is obviously a big part of it. Beyond pitch, I'm kind of putting you on the spot here. What would you say is the mark of a singer who's progressed to good, right? They can hold a pitch and...
Right, and I think it's the quality of their tone, which is also very subjective, right? I mean, Bob Dylan just won a Nobel Prize, and Louis Armstrong is a jazz great, and no one would consider them like beautiful singers, but they're wonderful musicians. So I think that's the other part of it, is being able to match tone accurately, but then also the quality and the sound of your voice, which differs depending on the genre that you're singing in.
A trained ear like yours would be able to hear tone, I think, easier than just an average Joe like me. I would listen for like that vibrato. You hear about that confidence and that movement. Where does that fall in the scale of good to great?
Vibrato, generally, it's a hot topic even within the voice science community, because we can't pin it down exactly. But for the most part, we think that it comes as a result of an efficiently produced instrument. And that's a lot of times what we're looking for, is just finding ways to make your singing more efficient. When it is more efficient, it tends to be more authentically produced and more pleasant to the majority of listeners.
So that vibrato could come down to training, essentially.
Sure.
There's this concept that if my voice is sore, I should whisper, I should preserve the voice, I should baby the voice. And you say that's a myth. Right.
We have to remember that the vocal cords, vocal folds, we prefer to call them, are muscles. And for most people, they fit within the space of about a nickel. So they're very tiny muscles. But when we lose our voice, we have essentially injured those muscles. And so just like you wouldn't go sprinting on a pulled hamstring, if you continue to use an injured vocal muscle, then you risk doing long-term damage. So whispering doesn't actually preserve the voice. It holds those muscles rigid, and then we force a lot of air through them, and so it can continue to irritate them. So in that case, just like a pulled hamstring, a lot of times the better choice is just rest.
Just to rest and just to stop talking.
Stop talking.
Stop
Be quiet.
Yeah. I had this idea in my brain that you're either born a soprano, born an alto, that your range is set, it can't change. You say that's a myth.
Well, it depends how we're classifying voice type. Again, based on who you are, how you're built, you probably have a predilection to a certain kind of voice quality, voice type, voice range. But like most things, just as your strength can increase with weight training, your range can increase with voice training as well.
Myth number 4, and no offense, this sounds like something a music teacher would say, that voice training is only for professional singers.
Absolutely
Who is voice
not.
training for then?
For anyone who wants to enjoy their singing. And I think that's the vast majority of us. We all have had an experience where we've been singing and been carefree about it, maybe at a concert, maybe singing Christmas carols, sing-alongs in the car, where we just enjoyed the experience. And so if that's you, and if you want to be able to do that more often, then some vocal training will make you more confident and will build your abilities.
It's clear Brian knows his stuff. He's a nice guy, and now we're going to put him to the test. And you're up for it, right?
All right, let's do it.
We've got you 2 great singers to work with over the next hour. I say that because I know they're good sports as well. Let's walk on over here and say hello to our friends Rebecca Cressman and John Carter from the radio side of the building. You guys are really helping us out today.
Hi.
Agreeing to kind of go under the microscope a little bit and take a little lesson.
I was afraid I might have amnesia. Is that what it is?
Amnesia, yes.
Yeah, tone deaf.
I've heard you sing. Rebecca jams in the radio booth a little bit.
You've never heard me sing?
Now,
though?
yeah,
Come
what's
on.
your voice like?
I'm a bass, and I'm a professional, actually.
And his vibrato is amazing.
No.
It's amazing.
I'm horrible.
This runs in your family, though, this singing gene.
Well, my dad was a lounge musician for many years, but that doesn't mean it. He passed it on to me.
Doesn't mean it was inherited necessarily.
But I do love that kind of music. I love the loungy kind of music.
Yeah.
Cool.
You're a crooner.
I'm a crooner.
A Carter crooner.
What are you going to work? Tell us what you're going to do with these guys over the next little bit.
The main 3 things that we look at is how you're powering the voice, how are you breathing, if that's efficient.
From my diaphragm?
From your diaphragm, perhaps.
Cheater, you knew that already.
He knows the lingo, right? And then what's going on in the throat. So are we working too hard? Are we working not hard enough? Okay. And then the resonance aspect. How are we shaping the sound once it gets up into the head and into the mouth and into the face? And then this overall sense of releasing tension. So we're not coming from a place that is already tightened, but we're coming from a place that is loose and efficient.
You guys,
and encouraging the best
you're
sound.
Excited about it, yeah.
Is there breathing involved, like Lamaze?
Not to that degree.
What are you saying, Carter? What are you saying?
It's all about Christmas and baby, it's cold outside. That's what we're singing.
Is that a hint?
No,
Pick up some tips for me. Thank you for doing this, you guys. We're going to be checking in over the next little bit, so good luck.
I'm excited. I'm ready.
Ever wish you could sing like your favorite recording artist, or maybe just well enough to sing outside the shower would do for me? Dr. Brian Manternach is a voice instructor, and he's here in our studios running the Arrows John Carter and Rebecca Cressman from FM 100.3 through some drills to help them become better singers. And I know we're kind of on fast forward here, Brian, crunching a lesson into our short time together, but are these the same techniques that you teach in your master classes at U of U?
Yes. Many of the same. So the process is generally the same. Those 3 elements that I identified when we were back in the studio, we just put them into play individually for every person because we're all put together differently, and so it functions different for each of us, but generally the game plan is pretty much the same. Give
me a breakdown on your 2 students today. What are you impressed with when it comes to Rebecca and John, and what could they work on?
We're going to plug our ears.
They're doing great. As I told them before, they have both of them have a very good sense of pitch, which is excellent because that's something that we can teach, but when you don't have to, then you just move up to the next level. But they both also have very nice richness to their tone, as you would imagine, as radio voices.
Right.
Both of them are also a little bit lower voices, which again I think sometimes makes us think that, oh, I can't sing high because my low voice is where I live most often, where it feels most comfortable. So that's kind of where we're going, is we're exploring how to get up into what we call the head voice as opposed to the chest voice, and we need to release some tensions and we need to find a little more efficient breathing in order to do that the best.
Is what we hear in our heads always what people are hearing when we sing?
Well, if you've ever heard your speaking voice recorded and played back for you, most of us cringe a little bit because we don't think that's what we sound like. So there are little inaccuracies when we're comparing what we sound like inside our own head because we're hearing the vibrations inside as well as what's coming through our ear. So that's part of it as well, is getting outside of the expectations of what we think we should sound like or what we feel we're supposed to sound like, and that's cultural as well, so that we can really get to how we are what we really do sound like.
We're at the midpoint in our lesson. You got a little number you're going to work them through?
We're working on jingle bells here.
Can we have a little sample?
Sure.
Okay.
It's my favorite.
Ready?
But we're not going to start with Dasher and
No,
Dancer.
we'll start right on jingle bells.
All right, here we go.
Ready and
Jingle bells, all harmonized. Bells jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Hey, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Hey, there we go.
That's just a little embarrassing.
Okay,
But you were good. I love your
No, you
opening.
were awesome.
I am
Right from
very,
the
very
diaphragm.
impressed. Very impressed.
Thank
Well,
you.
thank you. It was
They're
all
doing
his
good
jingle.
work.
Oh my gosh, you guys. Brian, you're a master, and clearly you had great talent, great raw talent to work with.
Absolutely.
All right, keep working. Final performance coming up in just a bit, you guys. You're doing awesome. Thanks so much.
Very good.
Final performance.
Finale.
Jingle bells, jingle.
I have left my home in Studio 5, crossed over to our music studio for the day. I'm here with Dr. Brian Manternach from the University of Utah's Theater Department. He has been coaching throughout the hour, a very abbreviated music lesson, we should say, our good friends Rebecca Cressman from FM 100.3 and John Carter from the Arrow. And we hit at the midpoint of this show a little test, a little check-in test.
Yeah.
Our jaws in the studio were on the floor. You
That's
guys
right.
did great.
That's
This is
right.
so good.
You were
No, it's not me.
harmonizing.
It's
Yeah,
look.
yeah.
Music is a combination of. It has to be the music and the voices.
Well, and
It's,
actually the Santa hats. Brian said that actually adds.
That's
That
right.
helps with Christmas caroling.
that adds to
Okay,
it.
Elfin
so
magic.
to recap for those watching, the big takeaway for you was loosen the muscles in the face.
Loosening the muscle in the face and in the neck and allow myself to sing the higher notes, which I'm not used to. I didn't know that I have to change my mouth and my muscles to be able to do that. So that was great.
What was your big
For
takeaway?
me, it's just to leave and never sing again, basically. No, same with Rebecca. You know, just sing. It depends on what kind of a singer you are. Brian says, you know,
Yeah.
but not from here. You know, not this shoulder breathing. It's either
Yeah.
from here and some up here, kind of a combination of both, and good diction. You know, make those words, you know, really,
Yes,
you know, pop.
Which you guys are
Alliteration.
great at, the
Yes.
alliteration and the
Yes.
diction and
Yes,
whatnot.
whatever that is.
And you should wear leopard every day of your life.
Yes, I know.
John
Isn't it
Carter.
lovely?
That's what you
Yes,
should do.
That's what I'm talking
Have you
about.
been impressed with the progress, but you had some good talent here too.
Absolutely, yeah. They're coming from a pretty high baseline level of ability,
Yeah.
which is always fun. But again, not necessary, as we've been saying all morning. You know, people can progress from whatever state they're at,
And I
just
wouldn't
work
say
to get
I'm
better.
a high baseline. I've always said I can only hit 5 notes pretty well. So to know that you think that I can sing a higher range
Oh,
is
yeah.
eye-opening.
Easily an octave and a half.
For my
Easily.
Arrow listeners, there are listeners, I only have 7, but some of them say I can't carry a note in a bucket. So there you go.
We have
right.
proven them otherwise.
We promised a final performance. So as
Okay.
we tee this up really quickly, how long can someone expect it would take to see progress in their own voice?
Well, like we said before, I think depending on how much time they're willing to put in,
Sure.
they will see progress more quickly.
Okay.
And for some people, it takes more quickly than others. So
Weeks,
it can't be maybe weeks. Yeah. I mean, certainly over months there would be progress.
well before the baby's born.
I need to work on some lullabies. I need to work on some lullabies for the sake of the child. All right, let's sing. Let's sing. Can we
Okay.
sing with us, right? I am. No.
Yes.
No. Really? Don't be shy. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it together. Okay.
let's
We
do it.
wish you a Merry
Here we
Christmas,
go.
everyone. We
wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. That sent chill. Look.
Oh my
Chill
gosh.
bumps. Goosebumps.
You guys were great.
Hi, Toronto.
Thank you so much. Thanks for watching. Hopefully this was helpful at home. A few takeaway tips. We love these guys. Brian, good job.
Thank you.